Control the narrative before the narrative controls you. Your past is the key to all this. The turkey flies again at midnight because, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. Fluxx is currently streaming on Tubi. It was written and directed by Brendan Gabriel Murphy and written by Keontae Mayfield, and centers around an actress named Vada, played by Shelley Hennig, who is stuck in a mansion in a time loop. She can't get out of it, and she's getting very little information about how she can get out of this. And the only way to get out of this is to have flashbacks, a lot of flashbacks, to previous relationships that she had. Well, mainly one previous relationship, at least until we get later on into the narrative. She was at one point with a talk show host played by Tyrese Gibson. I blame him for how this film basically fell apart, because take a look at Tyrese Gibson's filmography. The man was successful for a while, and now he's basically just a fucking meme. So anyway, we get little bits of information, and then we get, topsy-turvy, twisty stuff and everything. It's trying to be like a mystery crime version of Happy Death Day or Groundhog Day, and has an interesting premise, and actually has an interesting little beginning. And then, unfortunately, the film ends up falling apart. I'm not mixing words here. I was very disappointed with how this turned out, because when I saw Fluxx, I thought, oh no, it's going to end up like Slacks, about killer jeans in the Canadian department store. That was fun. And it has such an obvious conclusion. You know pretty much from the beginning where this film's going to go, and no matter how much it tries for twists and turns and everything, it's a straight line. Even if they try for some twists and turns on the bubble tape opening credits thing. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well, you get to witness basically a bubble tape travel where we witness the credits pouring out over the Hollywood skyline. 16 executive producers, 6 producers, and 2 co-producers. I produce a lot of stuff I don't want the world to see. There was effort here, but unfortunately there was not enough meat on the storyline bone to basically satisfy most viewers. And this thing just stumbles into the second act and then tumbles down several flights of stairs, Nancy Argentino style, because curse you, Jimmy Snuka. We just basically see the third act absolutely just unravel with a very obvious conclusion, which, look, there were parts that I wanted to like in this, but there were so many moments where I'm like, yes, go movie, give us nothing. I am almost 45 years old saying shit like this. I'm sorry, this just didn't work for me. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, how do we get to her being caught in a mansion? Well, it's pretty obvious that something is tying her here. Something from her past. How far into her past, you'll have to find out in a little bit. There was a studio called The Forge that was involved in this, and a couple others. And look, there were some obvious, issues with some of the things that they were trying to do. Some of the special effects that they tried just weren't all that good. There was a point where lightning struck a palm tree, and I'm like, oh boy, that was fun. Why did Windows Movie Maker 95 make an appearance here? There were moments of genuine, well-shot stuff. There were parts where I'm like, okay, some of this stuff, shows actual talent and actual effort. But unfortunately, those moments become few and far between. So we see, basically, she's waking up in a bathtub, Vada is, and she's got a bloody hand, and she's getting phone calls from a voice from her past. It turns out actually to be her, a younger version of her, or a voice that's in her head. It's a voice that's in her head, by the way. And then we smash cut to Tyrese in a diner, and he plays Calvin, a talk show host. He was too obsessive and controlling, and that's why she broke up with him. And did she use him to advance her career because she is an actress? We'll find out. And then here's Trevor, Shiloh Fernandez, who ends up becoming her new beau. He ends up becoming more successful and ends up falling for a woman named Victoria. I'm rushing through a whole lot of this stuff because realistically, there are certain little, plot points you can hit, and that's about it. A lot of this is just endless padding. There is a punk version of her with a UK accent that certainly was what somebody thought a UK person sounded like. There were parts that actually weren't awful, but then there were parts of that where I'm like, oh boy, that was fun, bruv. Yank. Mate. So, I'm you, basically, is what she's saying. You've been upgraded. And then they play a Raven's Roulette thing, where basically they do the gun thing. And when the gun goes off, there we go. And all of this is to save Trevor's life. About that. And the caller says your cat passes the key to all this. And yeah, there were parts where I'm like, okay, there were like some outside shots that looked kind of okay, and then there were parts where I'm like, why did they use rain if they couldn't even make it look right? I mean, good lord. Her career spirals. There was like a court show that her and Trevor were part of. And then she trips balls at a Halloween party in a club where she trips on Molly or whatever it is. She drinks a whole lot. And Calvin had also brought her on his talk show to basically talk about her stuff, but then that spiraled. And you could chalk this up to basically her completely spiraling. And even as a woman in Hollywood, she either wasn't good enough or just basically thought she should be a lot higher than she actually was, and would try to, just use people to get to a certain point. But nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of people that do that, but her past is coming back to basically haunt her. So she got jealous of a woman named Victoria that Trevor does end up actually getting with, and then she also gets upset at an assistant or whatever driver named Gio, who gets a little handsy. She gets rid of him. And then about halfway through, Dustin Rhodes' Seven shows up. Actually, it's not him, but it might as well have been him with how it looked. He looked like Uncle Fester. If you get it, you get it. And he had an axe to grind. And she has a gun from the previous thing with her alter punk ego, where she basically tackles Seven, and they go out the goddamn window. So, and it was Gio this whole time, because why not? Is it a dream? Is she nuts? Is it the drugs? Yes, is the answer. She has questions about where Trevor is cheating. Then suddenly we smash cut to a sci-fi film where she plays an AI bot. This is still better than the goddamn Megan Fox AI thing that I watched. And she basically feels unwanted, but she kind of snaps at him at the wrong time, and she ends up getting choked, but then that doesn't work, because he backs off from that, Trevor does. And then the idea is to make this sex scene seem real. They need to actually have sex while she pretends to be an AI bot on this set, and it's all an allegory for her failing relationship and her career going downhill and her dwindling mental state. And I get that. The movie just isn't interested in really delving into that. And being visual is one thing, but when you're uninteresting, no amount of great visuals is going to help. So basically, what it comes down to is the reason she's trapped in this goddamn mansion is because she broke in there, killed Victoria, killed Trevor, and then Gio showed up in that weird, Seven outfit, almost like Darkman, but not quite. And he ended up getting, shot out the window and stuff like that. And this was all because of her dwindling mental state and all that and everything. And yeah, there were other visual things that were in this. They just weren't worth diving into. I wanted to at least give this a passing grade, and the more it went on with the messy, the singular narrative, but the attempts to be a little broader, despite zeroing in on just one fucking path, it just did not work for me. I mean, I'm sorry, this didn't. It's not that I think that the filmmakers are necessarily awful, but this just didn't work, and unfortunately, it gets an F. And yeah, there were pieces of dialogue where I'm like, boy, another take certainly couldn't have hurt. I mean, it could have only helped with some of the way that acting came across. So that being said, yeah, F, unfortunately. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. Until we're caught in a state of flux again, happy trails to you.